Hello EFD squad and welcome back to Scout Report. Today we're going to discuss how Lazio became title contenders in the Serie A. For those of us whose first football memories come from the late 90s and early 2000s, Lazio have always been a big club. Double winners in 2000 under Sven-Göran Eriksson, the Roman side gave us Juan Sebastian Veron, Pavel Nedved and Roberto Mancini, but rarely troubled the top of the table in the years following the turn of the millennium, as Milan, Juventus and Inter established both domestic and continental dominance. Even city rivals Roma put them in the shade, and when Italy won the World Cup in 2006, they did it with just two Lazio players in the squad. Veteran defender Massimo Oddo and 36-year-old third-choice goalkeeper Angelo Peruzzi. 10 years after that, in 2016, even that minor glory had become a dim memory. At that point, Lazio had made the top three just twice in 15 years and hadn't cracked the 70-point barrier since that title win. Stefano Pioli, more recently Milan and Inter boss, had been sacked after following up a third-place finish in 2015 with an eighth-place finish in 2016, raising expectations among the Lazio faithful, only to lose a massive 14 matches, ending the year with a goal difference of 0. So drastic measures were required, and club president Claudio Lotito rolled the dice on Marcelo Bielsa, then out of work following a messy divorce with Marseille. El Loco was a maverick, but also capable of whipping a sloppy squad into shape, bringing back the high-pressing, exciting Lazio of old as he rejuvenated Lom and turned Athletic Club into European giant killers. But some gambles don't work out, and Bielsa, in typical Bielsa fashion, behaved unpredictably, accepting the position only to resign after 2 days, prompting Lotito to threaten legal action against him. It was arguably the most Italian thing to happen since Calciopoli. However, the board's and fans' desire for a tough, progressive, intelligent side would eventually be satisfied, just with a different coach. Simone Inzaghi had been with the club for 17 years at that time, as a player and a coach, and had stepped up from youth team manager to caretaker the previous season after the sacking of Pioli. When Pioli went, Lazio were in 8th, but had lost 11 times in 31, taking just 1.35 points per game. That saw a slight uptick under Inzaghi to 1.5 a game, but they couldn't improve their league position by the end of the campaign. And when the former striker was named permanent coach, hopes weren't high in the 2016-17 campaign, especially as the club spent just £4 million net that summer, with their biggest outlay being £8 million on Sevilla and Dortmund flop Ciro Immobile. Quality, not quantity, but that too. But that was to prove the start of a spectacular rise to the top. Despite his brutal exit from the Stadio Olimpico, Pioli hadn't left the club a total shambles. As you'd expect from an Italian coach, he put together a functional, if unimpressive, backline, conceding just 11.2 shots per game, but the attack wasn't strong enough to make up the ground on the league's leading sides. Despite a decent ability to restrict their opponents' attempts, the Eagles ranked 7th in the division for shots of their own and 11th for shots on target with just 3.9 per match, fewer than Norwich in the Premier League this campaign. And it wasn't like there was much star quality to cover for the attacking deficiencies, with top goalscorer Candreva on 10, whilst Miroslav Klose, then 37, was involved in 14 league goals, more than anyone else at the club. Inzaghi's way of remedying this wasn't simply the addition of Immobile, though he certainly helped. Under the fledgling manager, Lazio became a team focused on taking shots from good locations. Under Pioli, the team had taken 44% of its shots from outside the area, but in Inzaghi's maiden year, that dropped to just 37%, taking them from 7th lowest to the 3rd lowest in the division. However, simply cutting out the long-range efforts might have seen the attack disappear altogether if it hadn't been for the dual-wing threat of Keita Balde and Felipe Anderson, who Inzaghi empowered to take on their opposite numbers as much as possible. The pair racked up over 6 dribbles a game between them, making Lazio the only side outside of Juve and, weirdly, Empoli to have 2 players complete over 60 take-ons across the whole campaign. As a consequence, Lazio got nearly 2 more shots on target per game and added 10 expected goals to their tally of 55 from the previous year. The new offensive scheme gave Immobile and Keita chance after chance, with the duo ending the season with an incredible 39 league goals between them. Flexibility. That year was a clear step forward as they finished 5th, above Milan and Inter, as well as beating the Nerazzurri and arch-rivals Roma on the way to the final of the Coppa Italia, where they lost out to Juventus. But despite the success of Inzaghi ball, Lazio resisted the temptation to return to the same system the next year, instead choosing progression. Keita, Lucas Biglia and Wesley Hurt all departed for around £60 million, with Lazio turning a £40 million profit, replacing Biglia with another Lucas, which proved decisive, Liverpool's unloved Lucas Leiva. And while the loss of Keita may have crippled another team, Inzaghi reconfigured his attack to run through Luis Alberto. The Spaniard had suffered 5 separate illnesses and injuries in his first season in Rome, playing only 363 minutes for the Bianco-Celesti, working out to a minute of play for every £10,000 Lazio had spent on him. But with Keita gone, the then 24-year-old stepped up, playing the 6th most minutes in the squad in 17-18 and establishing himself as one of Serie A's most dominant creators. He registered 11 goals and 14 assists in league play that year, and only Insigne and Papu Gomez laid on more chances, with the result that Immobile became even more prolific, hitting 29 as Lazio bagged 89 altogether, their best mark in the division, though a massive 22 goal over performance on their XG. They ended up on 72 points, which was good for 5th place again, and the same points tally as they'd managed when they last won the title in 2000. The following year, Inzaghi once again shuffled the pack after Felipe Anderson left for West Ham and Stefan de Vrij went on a free transfer to rivals Inter. Lazio did take a minor step back as a result, losing 1/3 of their league games and finishing 8th. But once again, Inzaghi showed his ability to develop players, this time handing Joaquin Correa a larger role and helping Milinkovic-Savic win the award for Serie A's best midfielder. The Serb was actually involved in fewer goals in 18-19 than the year before, just 8 compared to 15. But he became a much more progressive passer, moving the ball into the final third 5 times a game and into the box twice a match, ranking 13th in the league and one of 3 Lazio players in that group. And the dominant midfielder helped make it a special campaign for his club, as he netted in the Coppa Italia final to put Lazio on their way to a 2-0 win over Atalanta, earning them their first major trophy in 6 years. In total, Inzaghi's spell in charge has seen the club spend £133 million and bring in £157 million, with their most expensive signing in that time the £13.8 million capture of Joaquin Correa from Sevilla. Who wouldn't want these results with no price tag? Sky's the limit. This season started auspiciously with a 3-1 victory over Juve in the Supercoppa Italia, but no one could have predicted where the campaign would go from there. At the time of writing, Lazio have lost just twice, fewer than any other side in Italy, and have scored 60 goals, equating to 2.3 a game. They also have the best goal difference in the division and remain within a point of league leaders Juve. More importantly, they're still true to their principles. While 6 teams take more shots than them, only 2 teams can beat their 6.2 shots on target per game, and they put together around 1.9 expected goals a game, not the best attacking volume in Europe, but roughly the same as Barcelona this year. And while the Blaugrana have Messi, Immobile is arguably the Argentinians' equal in output this year, leading Serie A's race for the Capocannoniere with 27 goals and 7 assists in just 26 appearances, while Alberto tops the charts with assists on 12. Years and work of planning, of course, don't guarantee silverware, with the depth of Juventus likely to tell over the remaining weeks of the season. But Inzaghi has made the impossible seem possible, as Lazio beat Bologna 2-0 on the 29th of February, sending them top of the league for the first time since 2010-11, when they were first after 10 games. As for the last time they were top in the second half of the season, well, that was 1999-2000, when they won the domestic double, finishing 1 point ahead of Juventus. Their top goal scorer that year, Simone Inzaghi. So guys, that was this week's Scout Report. We hope you enjoyed it. What other teams would you like to see as profile? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.